In a small, tightly knit household, where problems arrive not by schedule but by surprise, the atmosphere begins with a familiar sound. A ringing phone that no one wants to answer. Archie complains about the inconvenience of the long cord, annoyed that more time is spent finding the phone than talking on it. Edith, busy in the kitchen, tells him to pick it up, insisting she is occupied. After fumbling, Archie finally reaches the phone, only to discover it is his friend Barney crying uncontrollably. His voice comes through broken and distressed, and Archie, becoming impatient, tells him to stop bawling so he can understand the situation. Eventually, the truth surfaces: Barney's wife Blanche has run away once again. Instead of shock, Archie responds sarcastically, even delighted that she is gone. But the call takes a darker turn when Barney says he wants to kill himself. Archie panics, asking Edith to stall Barney on the phone while he rushes over. Edith, struggling to say anything comforting, describes an uncle who also threatened suicide but was too scared to follow through. When Archie arrives at Barney's house, he finds his friend with a rifle, exhausted and ashamed. Taking a seat, Archie attempts an awkward heart-to-heart. He asks how Barney planned to do it this time, reminding him that destroying his life would also air-condition the house. Edith's earlier suggestion about the subway's third rail resurfaces an old urban legend of painless death, but Archie insists that Barney is no stranger to his wife running away. Counting the honeymoon, Blanche has vanished so many times it's become a pattern. This time, however, her departure was motivated by an exterminator, no, a furnace man. Heat from the home, and perhaps from the workers' charm, caused Blanche to leave quickly. The absurdity of the situation invites laughter, but beneath it lies Barney's genuine heartbreak. Archie warns him that he must move on, reminding him there are more than one fish in the woodpile, a nonsensical proverb corrected by others. But Archie rejects the correction, insisting he is trying to help. Back at home, Edith and Archie discuss Barney's problem. Edith feels sorry for him seeing his loneliness. Archie suggests having Barney over for dinner to distract him, but Edith insists they already invited another friend, Martha Boycorn, a recently widowed woman whose husband owned 3 supermarkets. Archie's eyes widen at the mention of wealth, and suddenly a plan forms. If Barney meets Martha, perhaps romance and financial safety could develop. Edith protests. Women hate men interested only in their money. But Archie argues Blanche never cared about Barney anyway. This new connection might heal wounds. When Archie phones Barney to invite him, the man requests pot roast instead of meatloaf, negotiating dinner like a business deal. They confirm the time, but change it several times, showing just how anxious and excited Barney is. Soon, Martha arrives at the Bunker home. She is charming, warm, and grateful not to be alone on the anniversary of what would have been her silver wedding celebration. Archie enters the room late, claiming he had to kill a 1,000-legger in the bathtub. He greets her bluntly, asking directly how her husband died. She describes his sudden passing, sitting in his favorite chair, dressed for dinner, smoking a cigar, and then suddenly gone. Archie responds with cold acceptance, "What can you do?" Curiosity overtakes him, and he asks about the supermarkets, only to learn she sold them in exchange for tax-exempt bonds and diamonds. She proudly reveals expensive earrings demonstrating wealth she invested wisely. Edith admires them while Archie stares intently, calculating opportunities. When Baron, nervous but hopeful, knocks, Archie delays, letting him in, hoping Martha will not see him immediately. Once he enters, he asks nervously if the woman is attractive or young. Archie dodges the questions, describing her as not old and not bad, focusing instead on personality. When they meet, both guests politely say hello, but Barney quickly pulls Archie aside into the kitchen. Alone, Barney protests he doesn't want to be stuck with that woman. Archie argues she is fun and lively, but Barney sees only surface flaws. When Archie reveals she used to own 3 supermarkets, Barney's attitude briefly changes, but learning she sold them brings suspicion back. Ultimately, the aroma of pot roast convinces him to stay with Archie, barely restraining frustration. Time passes. Suddenly, Martha confides in Edith, privately revealing she has spent a joyful week with Barney. They went to dinner theater, shows, bowling, and she feels appreciated. She admits that money cannot buy happiness, but she is happy anyway. She also addresses a fear many wealthy widows face, being wanted only for wealth. Yet she sees in Barney's eyes sincerity. Edith melts, apologizing for misjudging motives. Martha reveals that Barney cooks low-calorie dinners to help her maintain health. The relationship feels mutual. Moments later, Barney bursts into the kitchen calling Martha my little butterball, and she responds affectionately. They leave together to enjoy another evening out. As the door closes, Archie and Edith sigh in relief and then begin to wonder what will happen if Blanche returns. Archie shrugs, joking that if Barney ever needs Blanche to leave permanently, he should sabotage household appliances. Repairmen always tempt Blanche away. Archie laughs, insisting he understands those kinds of women. On a different day, Archie receives a mysterious proposition over the phone. He tells Edith to tighten his socks, joking about holes in the heels, blaming his shoes, then blaming his own feet, then finally blaming Edith. He explains that his brother Fred is part of a business syndicate planning to create a nationwide chain of Chinese cafeterias called Fuyu Chinaterias. Archie believes America's diplomatic recognition of China will trigger a boom in Chinese cuisine. Edith misunderstands, thinking the plan involves eating enormous amounts of Chinese food, but Archie clarifies that this is an investment, not a personal binge. He dreams of wealth so great he would never have to wear the same pair of socks twice. Edith debates the cost, but Archie insists business opportunities require boldness. He tries to persuade her lovingly sometimes money must work for the family. Edith brings up a painful memory. Archie once knocked out Fred's tooth at their wedding and avoided him for 29 years. Archie dismisses the story, claiming he can simply whistle and point to identify the guilty party. Edith insists on caution, recalling the old rule, never do business with relatives. Archie counters by asking her to stop quoting advice. She ignores herself. Gradually, Edith relents, just barely. But she warns him his own advice contradicts this plan. Archie waves her concerns away. For him, the chance at fortune outweighs common sense. Meanwhile, Archie demonstrates a tendency to mishear, mispronounce, and misunderstand, revealing his comedic ignorance. Edith, as always, hears the deeper pattern, a man consistently eager to get rich without considering consequences. Yet she remains supportive because marriage demands faith. Ultimately, she does not forbid him. She simply expresses fear of losing savings. As tension builds, a commotion interrupts them. Someone outside honks a vehicle horn. Archie assumes it is related to his business discussion and insists he must rush to the bar where he works. He hurries to meet Fred, leaving Edith puzzled. Alone, she sighs at the thought of her husband chasing wealth again and continues folding socks, tiny symbols of domestic life unchanged, regardless of grand schemes. This series of events emphasizes themes of loneliness, desperation, economic anxiety, and the constant struggle to maintain dignity. Blanche's flirtations with repairmen represent a humorous exaggeration of marital instability. Barney's wild emotional swings illustrate vulnerability when love is conditional. Martha's wealth invites suspicion, but ultimately demonstrates that companionship matters more than assets. Archie's fixation on quick riches symbolizes America's persistent dream, the belief that a golden opportunity lies just ahead if only one has the courage or ignorance to leap. Meanwhile, Edith stands as the emotional anchor, calming storms, supporting decisions, and offering empathy even when others deserve criticism. Her kindness illuminates the contrast between impulsive desperation and thoughtful patience. Despite chaos, yelling, slam doors, ridiculous metaphors, and schemes, a strange warmth fills the home. It is messy but human, flawed but familiar, loud but loving. This chapter of their lives reveals the endless comedy of ordinary struggles stitched together by laughter, heartbreak, and pot roast gravy. When Archie meets Fred later at the bar, he anticipates a quick handshake, a signature, and perhaps a celebratory beer, but the meeting becomes more complicated than expected. Fred, who looks older but somehow slicker than Archie remembers, brings along two business partners, dressed in suits far nicer than their personalities. They speak in polished corporate jargon, using terms like projected margins and expansion scalability. Archie nods aggressively, pretending to understand, interrupting occasionally to repeat phrases he barely grasps. The men assure him that investment will guarantee a place in the first wave of Chinese cafeteria franchises sweeping across the country. Archie listens wide-eyed, his imagination filled with visions of wealth, restaurants lined like dominoes across highways, and money falling into his lap like fortune cookies stuffed with $100 bills. Back home, Edith cleans the house while humming off-key, unaware that danger may lurk in paperwork. When Archie finally returns breathless from what he calls big-time business schmoozing, Edith tries to ask a reasonable question about risk. Archie dismisses her concerns, accusing her of lacking vision. She reminds him gently that dreams must be balanced with caution. She tries to puncture his delusion softly, but he waves his hands, calling himself a future mogul. Edith eventually offers a tired smile. She knows this pattern, the cycle of excitement followed by disappointment. Nevertheless, she hopes, like any spouse, that maybe, just maybe this time, things will work out. Meanwhile, another domestic subplot takes shape. Their daughter Gloria and her husband Mike argue about child discipline philosophies. Mike believes children should grow naturally, while Gloria imagines structured routines. Archie barges into the discussion, declaring that children need strict rules and beatings once in a while. Gloria protests that violence is outdated. Mike boasts that reasoning and freedom shape better humans. Archie snorts and claims that old-fashioned discipline built stronger generations, adding without evidence that he himself was never hit because he behaved. Edith coughs, quietly hinting that Archie's memory is selective. The argument fizzles, but tension simmers beneath the surface, as generational battles often do. Days later, the bunker home becomes a staging ground for anxiety. Archie nervously paces, waiting for news. Fred promised to call, but hours pass with silence. Edith senses trouble brewing. She prepares tea to calm nerves, a household ritual that slows Archie down enough to hear common sense. But when the phone rings, Archie lunges at it like a cat after a laser dot. Instead of Fred, the caller is a stranger asking for money owed on a previous tab. Archie slams the phone, angrily muttering about financial vultures. Suspicion creeps into Edith's eyes. She asks if Archie truly knows these investors. He insists that anyone wearing a suit must be reputable. Meanwhile, neighbors drop by bringing gossip. Mrs. Jefferson casually mentions that her cousin once invested in a restaurant chain and lost everything. Archie dismisses it as hearsay, but his hands tremble slightly. Another neighbor stops to say that certain out-of-state investors are rumored to be scammers, promising riches while draining bank accounts. The room grows heavy. Edith's eyes widen. Archie stands defensively, refusing to believe he's fallen for a con. When Fred finally arrives, unannounced, Archie's excitement returns, until Fred confesses that the business partners disappeared. Fred claims he was swindled too. He curses himself for trusting strangers, then reveals his own desperation. He thought a big investment would impress his wife. Now both brothers stand together in shame, connected not by success, but by failure. Edith, always the emotional compass, suggests supporting each other instead of blaming. Archie humbled nods reluctantly. He promises Edith he will never leap blindly again, which she has heard many times before. In the days that follow, normal life resumes, but tension lingers at the edges of the kitchen table. Gloria and Mike start a new argument about family dynamics. Mike insists a husband should share responsibilities equally. Archie scoffs, reciting archaic definitions of manhood. Gloria, fed up, asks when Archie last washed a dish. Archie responds proudly that he once dried one in 1953. Edith sighs she washed that dish twice afterward. These comedic clashes reveal a household where ideology and habit collide like mismatched plates in the sink. Later conversation shifts when Gloria reveals a friend undergoing childbirth. She shares the pain and complexity of birth, and Mike becomes pale hearing details. He jokes that childbirth sounds like torture, earning glares from every woman present. Edith explains gently that pain fades, but love remains. Archie claims men endure worse pain regularly, like stepping on a nail. Gloria laughs. Archie insists it's scientifically proven. The debate dissolves into chuckles, exposing lack of understanding rather than malice. Not long after the household receives news, neighborhood burglaries have surged. Gloria panics. Archie dismisses the threat, saying every neighborhood has criminals. However, when Gloria describes burglaries happening in broad daylight, Archie stiffens. He declares tactical strategies, like booby-trapping doorknobs with pepper oil and using the dog as a sentry. Edith reminds him they do not have a dog. Archie grumbles, then suggests borrowing one. Gloria worries about moral decline. Archie sarcastically blames modern parenting. Mike counters that socioeconomic inequality fuels crime. Archie scoffs, calling that college talk. Days grow more hectic when Gloria invites a close friend, Trudy, for a visit. Trudy is charming, educated, open-minded, everything Archie finds threatening. She shares philosophies about raising children with imagination, empathy, and emotional openness. Archie interrupts, repeatedly claiming kids need toughness, not feelings lessons. Gloria defends Trudy, proudly listing her academic achievements. Archie retorts that his father taught him lessons with a belt, and he turned out perfectly. Everyone side-eyes Edith, waiting for her verdict. She simply sighs. But tension escalates when Gloria reveals a personal secret. She is afraid she may never be ready to be a mother. She confesses anxiety that society expects immediate parenthood. Mike encourages patience. Archie insists that youth is wasted if children aren't born early. Edith gently reminds Archie that parenthood is deeply personal. The emotional atmosphere deepens and Gloria breaks into tears. Edith hugs her like a warm blanket on a cold night. Mike stands awkwardly, then joins the embrace. Even Archie remains silent, for once recognizing his daughter's vulnerability. Soon after disaster strikes, Gloria suffers sudden stomach pain. Archie panics, assuming childbirth has begun, although she denies being pregnant. Edith calls a doctor. Mike paces in circles, reciting medical facts. When the doctor arrives, he calmly diagnoses gastritis. The relief is overwhelming. Archie, regaining his usual composure, announces sarcastically that he knew nothing serious was happening, even though minutes earlier he was preparing towels and boiling water like an old-fashioned midwife. Family life continues with more chaos. Barney stops by, deeply grateful for Archie's help. He announces his relationship with Martha is blossoming. He feels alive again, reinvented by affection. Archie pats him on the back, proud to have engineered this happiness. Edith watches them with hope, believing that people can heal when someone listens. Meanwhile, the Chinese cafeteria investment leaves lingering scars. Archie finds himself irritable every time he sees a takeout menu. Edith catches him muttering about fortune cookie crooks and egg roll extortion. Slowly, humor replaces regret. The family jokes about what they would have named their restaurant chain. Gloria suggests kung fu. Mike laughs. Archie pretends to be insulted but smiles behind his newspaper. Life settles until the next unexpected problem arrives like a knock at the door.